Hello, everyone. Our guest today is Randolph Ward, who's an international dancer, choreographer, director, and innovator. He's also an advocate and a rather fearless voice for quite a number of issues that we'll speak more about. Welcome, Randolph. It's great to have you with us today.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
You were trained right here in Miami as a dancer, and you've danced in both the US and in Europe. Can you tell us what are similarities and differences that you've seen?
I think some of the similarities of both European dance and American dance is that they're both largely being decided, consumed, and created by a singular viewpoint, which is from the white male viewpoint. And to my European dance family, they get a little bit of a credit because we are in Europe and their ancestry is European. And Black people also don't have the same sort of history and weight that we do in America, but largely it's being decided, created, consumed, and also performed by one group of people.
Did you face challenges or any issues as a gay Black man when you performed?
Some of the challenges are that any Black artist sort of faces is that you're always being seen as one particular emotion or expression, which is typically aggression, very sexual, strong, mean. Yeah, and we're sort of pigeonholed into this one very narrow dynamic of humanity. We're not typically allowed to express like vulnerability or to cry, to be sensitive. I find that I tended to watch my fellow artists who were non-Black and brown have a little more freedom and leeway to play in those roles that also were strong and also sensitive.
Do you feel that there's been a little bit of an evolution in sort of acceptance in dance today?
I think there has been, especially with the explosion of Misty Copeland, being the some say she's the first, but she's not the first. That goes to Lauren Anderson at the Houston Ballet several decades before her.
Very true.
But we have her, and now we have also Calvin Royal III, who's also now the first, I think, ever, right, principal Black male principal dancer ever. And we also have Precious Adams, who's at Dutch National Ballet. She's a soloist there.
Yes.
And we have there's a mixed race male dancer at the New York City Ballet who just became principal dancer.
Oh.
So people are starting to open up and be more comfortable with seeing a different sort of face, a different sort of emotion in roles that typically we've sort of seen the same sort of idea.
What about LGBTQ plus issues? I mean, I know it's not such an obvious thing, but how does that sit in the dance world? And perhaps how can it be better addressed?
For me, that was one of the reasons why I left the classical ballet world. I was in Ballet Met, which is a classical ballet company, for 4 years. And I kind of got tired of always playing a sort of one dimensional idea of masculinity. So that's one of the reasons why I left and went into contemporary dance later on in my career, because I felt like I was able to express more of the full range of my humanity.
As a dancer, that was one thing. Now, as a choreographer, I know that you use your voice in lots of ways and you do dive into some pretty heavy duty subjects. What are you hoping to bring awareness to?
Most of my work is inspired by a quote by James Baldwin. Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced. I think the theater is like the perfect place to bring your children, bring your husband or whoever to confront an issue that they may have it with, opens dialogue, conversation, as opposed to trying to have these difficult conversations over pizza or at the beach. But if you bring them to a show that may have adult content, talking about sex or homosexuality, now you have that conversation open to ask your kid, like, hey, what do you think about this? And blah, blah, blah. My whole goal as a choreographer is to open the dialogue so people can have the dialogue. And the theater is one of the easiest ways because you're sitting in the dark. You have no choice but to pay attention.
Randolph, do you feel as a choreographer and now having a voice and being able to sort of do what you choose to do, that this is a really good opportunity for you in dance?
I call myself a creative director as well as a choreographer because for me, choreographers typically create dance steps, not all of them, but I like to think of myself as more of a creative director because I'm sort of directing energy, atmosphere. And that's why I use a lot of structured improv because I hate choreographing necessarily like steps all the time. But it is an exciting time. I mean, being a creative director or and choreographer, you kind of have freedom to do whatever you want to do. Especially for me right now because I'm self-financed. There are no sort of structures of boundaries.
Do you do basically everything yourself? Are you the marketer, the funder, the grant writer, the choreographer? Are you the jack of all trades?
Kind of the jack of all trades, but I have other jack of all trades behind me that go and edit and make me sound really smart. Like for my writing and grant proposals, I write it, but then I give it to friends of mine who have much better writing skills than me, and they sort of,
Okay.
edit and tweak it and stuff like that. But
Mm-hmm.
production wise, I do everything. I create the lights, I do the music on my garage band, which my husband just taught me how to use. Yeah, I'm doing marketing. I do all of that, and that's only by default because I'm kind of a control freak. So, and I learned that from Ohad Nahari. He came to our company in Salan Dishastasiata, and we performed his work Order. And I remember how he was so adamant to them about all the pictures that they took of him at press that they cannot put them out unless they are approved by him.
Oh,
So I
interesting.
sort of took that as like, so you want to make sure that your image is controlled.
You sort of create the aura that you want to create. So, what do you think is going to happen as dance moves on from this past year? And what are you hoping for in the future of dance and dance organizations?
I hope that we sort of get proactive, and I'm talking about myself as well, because like COVID came and all of these sort of short film grants and proposals for dance came out. And now that you're asking me that, I'm thinking like, why didn't I think to do a dance movie before that? Why did I have to wait to COVID to sort of explore
Right,
that artistic avenue? And
right.
also just like all the dance companies have their live online shows, giving people a digital look at their season. Why didn't we do that before? So instead of waiting until something happens, but it's great that we all jumped on board pretty quickly. But being proactive, these are sort of ideas that we all could have done before to connect more to the audiences.
It's kind of been wonderful the fact that this virtual world has opened up the world to many other people that never would have had the opportunity to. Have you felt that with your work, your creation, and just the people that you are around?
Yeah. So it's really opened it up for people who can't afford or don't have access to go into the theater. They can really sort of absorb it at home. And now I'm going to tell my age. I was born in 1982. So I remember live from the Lincoln Center, all the PBS shows. Like I watch ABC Now and all of these things that kids don't necessarily get now. But now
Right.
you can go to Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater's IG page, Instagram, and you can see a full concert of their work and tons of stuff.
Well, Randolph, it's great talking with you. We're so excited to see what you're doing next because you just are always pushing the envelope, always doing something unpredictable and very exciting. So thank you so much for speaking with us.
And remember, if you're in Miami, July 10th, 2020, 8 p.m., Boys Will Be Boys will premiere. It is subject matter is toxic masculinity and American ideologies on manhood. It does sound serious, but we do play around. We make fun of masculinity. We make fun of femininity. We sort of dive into the lack of spaces that men have to cry, to feel, to emote. So it's going to be a great show. And there's only 40 tickets being sold. So don't wait too long because they're going to go fast.
Randolph, I love speaking with you because you're such a sort of sweet, gentle soul, and you do such hardcore, heavy duty stuff. It's like such a contradiction, but I mean that's so great. I love that.
And my dancers have been amazing. And I'm actually must say that I'm glad that COVID kind of happened because it kind of showed that I wanted Boys to Be Boys to be at first would have taken a lot more rehearsal time because we were only having once a week for 4 hours for 3 months. And I wanted to create a full bolero with 9 guys, 2 break dancers, and a professional opera singer. So I needed the time that sort of a professional company would get, 4 to 6 weeks.
So you're really mixing genres too. Can't wait. Thank you.
Thank you so much.